The Hollow Between Walls, Part 1. The apartment, the Craigslist ad had felt too good to be true. Historic one-bedroom, downtown, $600 per month. Utilities included. Nora had stared at it for 10 minutes straight, her finger hovering over the trackpad. In a city where even shoeboxes rented for triple that, the price alone felt suspicious. But desperation has a way of making people overlook red flags. She needed out of her ex's place. Out of the shared bed, the lingering smell of his cologne in the sheets, the ghost of his laughter echoing in the kitchen. It wasn't the breakup that broke her, was the suffocating silence afterward. She would rather risk a strange apartment than stay one more night surrounded by memories that weren't hers anymore. The landlord, a wiry man with eyes that never quite met hers, handed over the keys without ceremony. "Place has history," he said vaguely, like it was both a selling point and a warning. The building certainly looked like it. The brick facade sagged, ivy clung stubbornly to the windowsills, and the narrow stairwell smelled faintly of mildew. But when Nora stepped into the apartment, her breath caught. It was cozy. High ceilings, old wood floors that creaked underfoot, tall windows that let in golden afternoon light. Dust coated the radiator, and a faint draft whispered from somewhere unseen. But she could make it work. She could make it hers. The first night, the apartment felt alive. Not in a warm, welcoming way, but in the subtle way a place breathes when you're trying to fall asleep. Nora lay in bed, listening to the hum of pipes, the faint groan of old wood shifting. She told herself it was just the building settling. Everyone says that about old places, but then came the tapping. Soft, rhythmic, too deliberate to be plumbing. Tap, tap. Nora sat up, her heart thudding. The sound came from the wall behind her headboard. She pressed her ear against it, holding her breath. Nothing. She lay back down. Told herself she was being ridiculous, and eventually drifted into uneasy sleep. The noises didn't stop. By the third night, the tapping had become whispers. Faint, indistinguishable murmurs threading through the plaster. Nora sat in the dark, straining to catch words, but they dissolved before she could piece them together. It was probably neighbors, she told herself. Thin walls, old building. She was alone. Now she was bound to hear things differently. But the apartment had no neighbors. The landlord had told her the unit beside hers was sealed off, under renovation. The other tenants lived on higher floors. So who was whispering through the walls? On her 6th night, she woke to the sound of her name. At first she thought she had dreamed it. But then it came again, clearer this time, curling through the dark like smoke. Nora, she bolted upright, pulse hammering, staring at the shadowed wall across the room. Nora, the voice was faint, fragile, almost familiar. She clutched the blanket to her chest, her throat dry. Who's there? Silence. The apartment seemed to hold its breath. The next morning, she tried to laugh it off over coffee, convincing herself it was stress. She'd been through too much. Of course, her mind was playing tricks. Breakups, new apartments, creaking buildings, it all added up to restless sleep and strange dreams. But when she opened her laptop to check emails, she froze. On the desktop, a new document blinked back at her. She hadn't opened Word. She hadn't typed anything. Yet the file was there, titled Hello, Nora. She double-clicked it with shaking hands. Inside was one line, typed neatly in black font. I like your voice. Her stomach dropped. She slammed the laptop shut, her breath ragged. Rationality clawed for footing. Maybe it was malware, some virus screwing with her system. That had to be it. But in the silence that followed, the faintest murmur rose again from the wall behind her. Low, careful, laughing. That night, Nora pushed her dresser against the wall before going to bed. She told herself it was silly, but the scrape of wood on wood felt like armor. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting. The tapping came first, then the whisper, and then her own voice, clear as glass, perfect in tone, seeping from the wall just inches from her head. "Don't move. I'm listening." Nora froze, terror rooting her to the mattress. Her own voice echoed back at her, distorted slightly but unmistakable. She clamped her hands over her ears, heart hammering, refusing to hear more. But even then, in the silence she tried to create, she swore she could feel it, something on the other side of the wall, breathing.